Want to welcome everybody to Ski Utah's season closing press conference. We don't do this every year. We just do it on the exciting big years. Want to thank especially our local media for coming out, who has always been so supportive to us and our ski industry. We're going to just get right to it. A couple housekeeping items. We have a ton of our local resort representatives. Local resort representatives, raise your hand. They're everywhere. I would please, as a local media person, grab one of the local resort reps if you're looking for somebody specific, and Paul can help you find exactly who you're looking for. Also, he's got copies of the press release for all the numbers that we have from today afterwards, and so he can get you that. A couple thank yous before our news item. First and foremost, Mother Nature. Mother Nature plays a huge part in our industry, our number one marketing partner. I remember standing back here in November earlier this year, and it's always a highly anticipated time of year where we're wondering, is it going to snow? Is it not going to snow? Mother Nature did come through for us this year, absolutely. The big winner in our neck of the woods was Brighton Resort, which reported 632 inches and had over 200 inches of snow in the month of January alone. But we think of it as and snow is great. A lot of snow is great, but it's important when it comes. And for us, it came early and often this year. And having it in January, getting us set up for the busy February, March time period, it was awesome. Also want to thank our entire winter sports industry. The collaboration that we have between our ski areas, between our state office of tourism and our legislative representatives, I think is unprecedented in the ski industry. We talked to our counterparts in Colorado, California, Vermont, New York, Maine, and I think it's safe to say all of them are a little envious of the relationship that we have with one another and our state partners. So we are unique in that regard. I also want to thank UTA. We had an increase in the ski bus service across the state this year. Supporting the resorts, UTA was able to put more accessible bus routes together with more times during some of the peak hours, and as a result, they saw a 26% increase in ridership. Our industry continues to grow, and with that comes some unique challenges, and getting people to and from the resorts is one of them, but we've been grateful to work with our resort or our partners at UTA and continuing to make improvements there. Before we announce the final number, I want to introduce one of our greatest partners in Vicki Varela, who is the Managing Director of Tourism, Film, and Global Branding at the Utah Office of Tourism. Their role helping Ski Utah promote skiing nationally and internationally is a huge part of why we're here today. Personally want to thank Vicki, Dave Williams. I know Jay Kinghorn from the UOT is here as well as Emily Monch. So they've got a great team. We work very closely with them. I won't go into the long list of accolades that have been heaped upon Vicki of late. I saw recently she was named the National State Tourism Director of the Year by the U.S. Travel Association. That's the Oscar equivalent in our tourism industry, and she got another couple awards along the way too. But I'll invite her up here to say a few words on economic impact of tourism in Utah.
Thank you, Nathan. Great to be here. And, this is Life Elevated. We get to ski it. We get to share it with our tourists, and then they share with us a dramatic increase in state tax revenues as a result of tourism. Tourism is a major part of the Utah economy. Last year, tourists spent $8.17 billion in the winter and summer seasons. That translates into $1.15 billion in state and local tax revenues. That's money for our schools, for public safety, for our roads. Thank you for sharing the hills. Thank you for being such good partners and for the amazing contribution that this industry creates for the Utah economy.
Thanks, Vicki. It is indeed a unique partnership we have with our state, and we have a lot of fun doing it. We're all lucky to live in such a cool place where we can ski at Snowbird yesterday and ride mountain bikes down here today. It's awesome. I'm going to get to the skier visits. Nationally, we learned that skier visits were up 3.7% nationally. Big rebounds in California and New England that have had tough snow years the past several years. I think that contributed to that increase. Going into this ski season, we had several reasons to be optimistic. A big tailwind from the 15-16 ski season. I stood here a year ago, announced a record season, doing that again this year. We have an all-time high in funding for the Utah Office of Tourism that Vicki talked about earlier. That absolutely contributed to a great year. And then certainly the snow, while it started a little bit later than we would have liked, probably cut out a couple of weeks of our ski season on the front end. But it did come, and it came hard and fast. Like I said, 200 inches of snow in January, snowed during Christmas. Our ski season this year was 197 days long, spanning 8 months from November to June. Snowbird closed to the public just last Sunday. And with that, we're happy to announce an all-time record total visits of 4,584,658 skier visits this year. That's up 3% over last season's previous all-time record of 4,457,575. A couple numbers around that. That number is 8.3% higher than the 5-year average of 4.2 million in Utah. Utah's a bit of an outlier in the Rocky Mountain region. The National Skiers Association breaks the nation down into 5 independent regions. The Rocky Mountain region was actually down almost 3%, 2.7%, and Utah, we're calling it 3%. I think technically it's 2.85. We do feel like there's still room to improve. We had, like I said, a little bit of a late start. Couple weeks in November we would love to have back, not complaining by any means. And then Mother Nature took her foot off the gas pedal a little bit in March. It warmed up a little bit, great for cyclists and people fleeing to the desert in March after skiing nonstop powder, it seemed like, for months and months. But you know, if we're being a little greedy, we like to see it snowy and perfect all the way through closing day. But so I think there is some room to improve there. And while we'll take a moment to celebrate today, we are focused on 2017-18 already. We've got a countdown clock going. Our office has been working on next season since end of January, early February, and opening day at Park City Mountain is just 156 days away when they open on November 17th. We're going to blink, and summer's going to be over, and we'll be skiing powder again. So get those bike laps in while you can. But we're looking forward to next season already. I would love to take any questions you might have, and then also encourage you to grab a local resort representative and corner them and ask them some questions as well.
So now that you've had a couple of years to see what the Epic Pass has done, what kind of an evaluation do you have of its impact on your numbers?
You know, it has been very, very positive for our numbers. Both the Epic Pass, Mountain Collective, several of those passes that allow you to ski multiple resorts. We've only had it here for a couple years, but the impact, I would say, has been significant and positive. And I think we're going to see that for some time to come.
And has it been spread along in lodging, retail, and rentals and all that as well?
Yeah, we don't necessarily see revenue numbers, but I think it'd be safe to say, Dan's here from the Park City Chamber, if you were to ask any of the retail, restaurant, lodging folks in Park City, they're singing a pretty happy tune these days. Yep, that number, and Paul's got a press release for you. That number is exactly 4,584,658. So jumping from 4.46 million last year to 4.58 million, almost 4.6 this year. Any other questions?
And an increase in spending?
Yeah, and that increase in spending that Vicki mentioned. So we jumped from, we do skier surveys every other year. We jumped from a total spending from 1.2 billion to 1.4 billion, and then more importantly, I think was a jump in per skier spending from the final number was 296, and the previous number was 276. So we saw not only an increase in the volume of skiers, but an increase in per skier spending. Both good things. You know, we are working really hard on, you know, some of the things this office does. You'll mostly see, you know, most people will remember our snow report and pretty pictures of powder skiing. But I'll tell you, in the last 48 hours, I've been on the phone extensively with the governor's office, with the speaker's office, and with the Senate president just yesterday talking BAC. You know, part of our charge is to create a climate in which ski industry and tourism industry businesses can thrive, and all three of those offices, I think, were somewhat supportive in you know, taking a really hard look at making some changes before that potential law goes active. There's a lot of hard work to be done, but we've got great relationship and great support from our legislative and elected leaders, and I'm confident that we're going to end up in a good place that's going to make a lot of sense. Our elected leaders understand that tourism is Utah's largest export, and I understand what they're trying to do, make Utah a safe place. But you know, all these things take a certain level of balance, and I know we're going to get there. With that, I'd wrap it up and encourage you to stick around, grab a bite to eat, grab a cup of coffee, grab your favorite local resort representative, and get an individual interview. And I want to thank everybody for supporting our industry and coming down here this morning. So thank you very much.